Another day, another story. The story's name is Cavemen, Clash of Light and Darkness. They had been living in the same cave for a long time. Once upon a time, an old man called everyone together and told them in detail that he had seen his grandfather who had spent centuries in this cave. But I remember him saying in his last years that cave life has been and will continue to be with all its traditions, that's all. After that, they stopped, and after some pause, they returned. Once upon a time, there was a tragedy. Everywhere the listeners became more and more interested in how there may be a tragedy in the life of the cave. Can there be a tragedy even in the dark? A young man who was staring at everything in the dark without blinking his eyes, when was he about to turn away? He got up and said to the old man, "O wise man, complete your talk and tell us what the tragedy was, because the only thing we have ever heard in our life so far is that there could be a tragedy in a cave, so finish your talk." The old man said, "Son, we have also heard that there was a tragedy in this cave, but when and where it happened and no one has been able to find out who caused it since I have regained consciousness. People have been aware of this tragedy." The old man hurriedly got up after talking half-finished and went in one direction in the dark. These people had lived in a cave for centuries. It was pitch dark and no one could recognize or see anyone, but they could recognize voices anyway, and they had to come very close to each other to see. Often, they would collide with each other while walking, and when they spoke they would find out who had collided with whom. These people were born in darkness, ate and drank in darkness, got married in darkness and died in darkness, and were buried in the darkness. It was as if a secret had come into the hands of that young man of which no one knew. Everyone was starting to shun him. Wherever he went, his friend would stay with him like a shadow and pull him out of there before any commotion, and if he got involved with someone there was a tragedy, and I will keep track of him, then his friend, by telling people to understand that brother, he has gone mad. Why do you associate with a madman? Then people would leave him because of his friend, and the friend would drag him and then bring him home. Even his family was fed up with him now. His father explained to him, "Why are you humiliating us in society? The whole world has been living in this cave for a long time. If someone doesn't know about the tragedy, isn't he alive or is he thrown out of the cave? There is no such thing as my son. Everyone is happy in their life and living happily. I don't know why you are leaving the traditions in search of new things, and don't know why you want to uproot the dead." He ran away from the house like crazy and started looking for his friend, and if he had asked his friend as soon as he met people, people would not have looked at him at all and would have dismissed him as crazy. But today he did not get angry with anyone and did not quarrel with anyone, and went away smiling in another direction. He finally found his friend, and after meeting him he started shouting that I have found the secret. When asked by a friend, he said that he had found out that he could go out of the cave. So the friend said sadly, "I thought maybe you know about the tragedy." "I think you're crazy. Can anyone go out of the cave? What are you talking about? Let's go home." The friend stepped forward and put a hand over his mouth and said softly, "What are you saying? If anyone hears you will kill me too. You are really mad now." So someone complained to the ruler of the time about his actions, and also said that he keeps saying that I can go out of the cave, I will go out of the cave. Then he was presented to the ruler, and the inquirers asked him what he meant. The madman said, "I want to get out of this cave." So on hearing this, he was declared insane and whipped and ordered to find out who had told this to the madman. At the end of the sentence, the young man was visited by his friend, but at the same time, The detectives found out that his father had told him that he could go out of the cave, and they picked up the old man. The poor old man kept saying that the way I consider you my ruler in the same way, I believe that there is no world outside the cave, and this is our world from the very beginning to the end. But the old man was also punished, and a large rock was placed on his chest, which caused him to sigh and die. The young man's wounds had healed and he was able to walk, so his friend started watching him again because he knew that if he was taken away by the ruler's men he would not survive. No one knew where his father had gone after his visit to the governor, and no one dared to ask why he had been picked up. When the news of the young man's actions and rumors reached the ruler, access to the truth was made possible, and it was found out that an honorable old man had mentioned a tragedy in search of which the young man wanders like a madman day and night and keep asking everyone about this tragedy. The ruler now picked up the old man, whose news had spread like wildfire throughout the cave, which caused the young man's friend to take him and hide somewhere. That honorable old man was present in the court. The person who asked him what he had said, the old man replied that he did not say anything, just what I heard from his ancestors came out of his mouth. And I am as sure of this being wrong as I am of believing that there is nothing beyond this cave, and that this is the only and last world, and I swear by your majesty and glory. The issuer issued the order, and first the tongue of this esteemed elder was cut with a stone, and then his head was crushed with a rock. The people of the ruler had reached the young man and his friend looking for them in the dark. They were about to catch them both. The young man sighed and picked up a stone from the ground and held it in his hand. Adjacent to the last corner of the cave, the young man tried to push himself further into the corner, causing him to stumble and fall, and he tried to pick up and throw the stone that had caused him to stumble. He grabbed the stone and it was not lifted, so a friend standing nearby thought that maybe he was trying to lift a big stone to save it, so he helped him too, but with great effort, the stone did not move from its place. They both gathered all their strength and together they lifted it once again, and with great force, the boulder, which was a big rock, shook with the slightest movement. But there is no place for light to come, space is needed, and a ray fell directly on the minds of all of them. The young man stood there, but his friend started running in fear, and the same ray caused a rift among the people of the ruler, and they ran away screaming in fear. No one looked back except the young man, and he was looking as if someone was calling him his own, and he was hesitant to decide whether to go or not. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more stories.